So as I was looking for a reading for today, I came across a piece on the internet called Aimlessly Wandering as a Spiritual Practice. I was intrigued. The author wanted to encourage meandering and contemplation. Great. I read the first step, which says, prepare by choosing a general location for your aimless wandering. Establish no goals, destinations, or agendas. Now, I found the term no agendas rather ironic in that it came in step 1 of an itemized list with 9, count them, 9 more steps with instructions on how to wander aimlessly. Now, don't get me wrong, all the advice was good, but it strikes me as a very 21st century phenomenon that there is a 10-point plan available to instruct you on how not to have a plan. So upon further consultation with Rev Ryan, we're turning to the radio instead of internet research. Using the succinct power of music lyrics, you'll now hear verses from 3 different songs by 3 different artists, each about wandering and wondering. The first one is by Leanne Womack, called I Hope You Dance. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.
I love it. And the fun part about these songs were they all happened within about an hour. So it just shows how many people want to wander. I was really hoping that Andy would use his feminine voice and sing that, actually, but we didn't get it. The second one is from one of my favorites. It's Fastball's the Way. And when the car broke down, they started walking. Where were they going without ever knowing the way? Yes, anyone can see the road that they walk on is paved in gold. It's always summer, they'll never get cold. They'll never get hungry, they'll never get old and gray. You can see their shadows wandering off somewhere. They won't make it home, but they really don't care. They wanted the highway because they're happier there today.
Thanks, Ryan. And this next one is from Jack Johnson. I love Jack because he really brings a lot of children's songs into his own music, which is cool. This song, and it's beautiful, check it out sometime, called Holes to Heaven. The bulls were running wild because they're big and mean and scary. And the children were playing crickets with no shoes. With a 7-hour drive, well, there we were stuck in Port Blair, where the boats break and the children stare. And there were so many fewer questions when stars were just holes in heaven.
All right. So, it's that time. Oh, I'm hitting buttons.
That's fine.
I know, if you guys could see this, I've got a computer with my face, like, staring back at me. Incredibly awkward. I kind of wish we could each do that, and because I get to see your guys' faces as I talk, and it's always kind of fun. Yeah, it would be interesting if we all had to walk around with a or like a mirror, just kind of. So I'm going to try not to look down there. So before we get going, I want you to explore and to wander and so forth today, and feel free to close your eyes during the sermon, but I don't want you to fall asleep. So before we get going, I want everybody to stand up. Yeah, stand up. We're gonna wander. So start off by just like do a little walk in place. Get the blood flowing. get ready. We're going to go exploring. It's an adventure. It's always an adventure when Ryan shows up. So let's stretch out. We don't want to pull any muscles in fellowship today. Oh, reach for the sky. Reach out and hit your neighbor. Oh, perfect. Maybe one arm over the other. Yeah, kind of. And free to tilt on that one. Oh my goodness. Thanksgiving sitting in the stomach. All right, other side. Perfect. And if you want to, you can try to touch your toes. The Sunday after Thanksgiving, once again, a little bit harder. Especially if you're like me and you like to make those mashed potatoes and stuffing into a sandwich.
With mayonnaise?
Oh, yes.
Not the mayonnaise.
Yeah. Mayonnaise goes on everything. In fact, my grandmother got me turned on to mayonnaise and peanut butter sandwiches, so if you guys wanted... So with that, take a seat back again and let's dive in. Hey Siri. I'm wondering at this point how many phones just lit up in the sanctuary. Hopefully you have them on. Or in the Zoom rooms of everybody in the fellowship outside. Kind of makes me want to ask something absurd instead of jump into the sermon. Hey Siri, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Or the classic, Siri, are you single? Who's asked that? I'm the only one, really?
What did she say?
You're going to have to ask. Uh-huh. Or what did he say? Maybe it's just a robot with a deep male voice, or a feminine voice. Hey Siri, what's the square root of 27 divided by 0? Try these at home it's really kind of fun. But those are all menial. Those are all kind of... What about, hey Siri, where do I search for meaning? Wow, things just got serious. Get it? Serious. Came up with that on my own. What do you say we linger on that last one just a little bit, given that I didn't hear any response from that familiar, fake, feminine voice that we've all come to let guide our lives? Just where would Siri's shiny satellite, Google-guided GPS-equipped, privacy-prying smart system steer us if we ask for directions to a more desirable destination instead of our dining? Rerouting. I never thought I'd live to see the day when I'd actually be able to say this phrase with any degree of validity, but as I face my 40th year, I feel that I have officially roamed the earth long enough to declare, I remember when. Yes, I remember when I could set off on my non-electric bicycle as a child with no agenda, digital maps, or cellular leashes, and simply wander. I remember turning 16 and getting lost for hours on end in the family car after attempting to find a shortcut home from the supermarket. I remember charting nautical maps on my sailboat and envisioning I was a 15th century explorer seeking new lands on a world that we didn't even know was round. By the way, need I remind you that America was discovered because Columbus got lost. Yes, I remember not knowing where I was going and being all right with it. But no longer is that the case. And good thing, because we are far too busy to go getting lost, too important to waste any time wandering, too smart to get led astray, and too in control to veer off course. And because of that, we are also too anxious to get off SSRIs, we are too depressed to show our dimples, we are too tired to turn down that extra shot of espresso in our Starbucks DoorDash order, or too stressed to turn down the double shot of bourbon off the bar tap, and we are too connected to talk to a person face to face, too dedicated to our TV binge to waste time with commercials, and too distracted by the have-tos of the day to daydream. But as anyone who has ever gotten rerouted or misguided by Google may agree, the perception of control is just that, perceived. Or better yet, pretend. Unfortunately, whereas I remember when pretending was a playful and praised childhood pursuit, Nowadays, life is once again a little too serious. I swear that's the last time I used that pun, too. Too serious to let our imagination wander and our spirits wonder. Let's start by breaking down those two theme words of the day. Wonder. In its original Old English, the verb wonderan means to be astonished, made wonderful, to inspire awe. This was during the era of excitement and discovery. And I must say that my best discoveries have happened when I got lost, literally or psychologically. However, the word eventually merged with the German wundern, and its etymology evolved into a sense of doubt or skepticism. This is fitting if you know anything about our German philosophical predecessors, such as Martin Buber, who claimed that authentic philosophy must begin with a wrong set of premises, or the skeptic Nietzsche, who taught it is no doubt, not doubt, but certitude that drives one mad. Think about that one for a second. But it is not doubt nor certitude that makes wondering so damn difficult in our world. It's our need to be certain of our doubts or undoubtedly certain of our beliefs. But when wondering how to reclaim our awe, the answer lies in neither. Instead, it is our acceptance and appreciation without qualification that paves the path. This is precisely what Jack Johnson alluded to in our reading for today. Life was a whole lot simpler when the stars were simply holes to heaven. No doubt, no deliberation, no definition, just a magical map in the sky towards our divine destiny. I can hear Leon Womack singing amen supportedly in the background. Don't you ever lose your sense of wonder. Don't get too caught up in doubt that you forget how to dance. But what if we already forgot how to dance? Well, let's start by switching an O for an A. Let wonder become wander, a related verb of similar Old English origin that provides a space for or is enhanced by our wandering. To wander, to move about aimlessly, to roam, to dance without purpose. Well, that's not very productive. Why walk or dance when we can take the Tesla? Why pedal at a playful pace when we can hit the e-assist throttle to get where we think we need to be in a hurry? Why waste time wandering when we have places to go? Our Western world is very destination-driven. In such, we are always in a rush to the next event, the next place, or meeting. Thus, we constantly miss out on the blessings of the in-between. Take what we have done to the spiritual practice of yoga, for example. Any yogas in the room? Yeah. What was once a time to step out of the moment, to detach from the physical, and lose oneself to wonder, has been transformed by American gyms into a 45-minute workout, often in a sauna-style room, where we strenuously and mindlessly bounce from pose to pose. However, in the Eastern tradition, it's the transition between the poses that is of focus. They call this the vinyasa. And it is about flow, not finitude. Each movement is infused with a mantra or a meditation on a certain sutra or verse. Literally, the word comes from suture, the thing we use to stitch ourselves back together. So let's wander into the in-between, alongside a mystic role model of mine, one Meister Eckhart. The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me, Eckhart said. There is no distinction between God and human, or creator and creation. God and humankind are made of the same wondrous substance and spirit. This wasn't of question for the mystic. Instead, Eckhart was more preoccupied with how he could scrape the scales off people's eyes so that they could behold this awesome and awe-inducing, wonderful truth. You see, Meister Eckhart was a prolific example of a breed of wandering wanderers we commonly refer to as mystics. individuals who seek truth through experience, not encyclopedias. And he mapped out his mystical means of divine union via 4 paths of spiritual growth that he claimed everyone participates in, whether you know it or not. My goal for the remainder of this morning is that we begin to participate in them consciously and follow in their flow, their vinyasa, as they merge into one. That we gain an awareness of our divine roots without trying to direct the process. Eckhart's first path, the via positivia, might be best understood as the way of wonder. In recognition that the first step in spiritual life is simply to surrender or to resurrender to awe, to gratitude, and to amazement. One Santa Cruz sunset, the first kiss from your crush, a whale spout while out sailing, is often enough to spark this positivia. And we all know the feeling well, despite our not being able to put it to words. That is actually what qualifies it as divine. But there's a big difference between aimless and deliberative wandering. Aimless wandering is what we do to waste time. Wandering through our Netflix menu or sifting through department store shelves in order to pass the day until our next scheduled event. It's wandering without wondering, going through the motions of life without living. Deliberative wandering is done with a sense of wonder. Wonder and gratitude, given that this is Thanksgiving week. Being deliberative means being attentive to the miraculous elements of the mundane and ditching worldly maps so to follow our intuition. And that's work. For some, it means physically wandering, breaking routine so to explore and embrace a new place. Whereas for others, the meta mentality, they can meditate their way off the map. But the goal is the same, to avoid becoming immune to the daily grandeur and gratitude of life. As a child, this was easy, because everything was new. Every day was a discovery, and the stars were simply holes to heaven. That's exciting. But as we age, exciting gives way to uncertainty. Uncertainty triggers anxiety, and anxiety obliterates our sense of adventure. So what do? We stick to the paved and plotted paths, and we cower in complacency each passing day that we robotically fill the gaps between our morning coffee and nighttime toothbrushing, with office hours chauffeuring the kids, microwavable meals, and medications, both of the physician-prescribed or self-imbibed nature. But fear not. A variety of things can snap us out of this apathy. Now, ideally, it's something pleasant, such as one of Eckhart's Via Positivia sunsets. However, sometimes it's something a little less pleasant. Take the medieval mystic Julian of Norwich, who sought to reinvigorate her union with the divine by praying that God make her so deathly ill that she die to herself and fully wake up to the divine. Well, prayer fulfilled, careful what you wish for. Julian found herself on her deathbed. However, when she awoke from her comatose state, her eyes opened to a new and exciting world in which everything inspired awe. Many can say similar things. You beat cancer, you survived a car wreck, you had a near-death experience and you saw a light, a close encounter with a big scary shark while out surfing. You cheated death, and in such, you're engulfed in gratitude for simply being alive. But we're human, and we slowly build up our gratitude tolerance. Thus, the tears of joy we once awoke to simply be alive, dry to the pursuit of having one more of that mindlessness day-to-days. One cancer survivor explained this well in stating, "Having once cheated death, I slowly lost the awe of awakening to health, and in such, I began cheating life." Unpleasantry is essential, for just as one cannot climb a mountain without coming down, the first path, via positivia, inevitably gives way to the second, via negativia, the way of sinking, cooling, pain, and letting go. The second path is harder than the first. It teaches us that all those things that cause such feelings of awe and wonder in us must come to an end. All the things rise and fall. Joy is followed by sorrow. Light is followed by darkness. Ecstasy is followed by agony. But Eckhart insists this is not a bad thing at all. It's necessary and even holy. God does not wish us to live in an illusion that everything is sweetness and light. Instead of shielding ourselves from the pain, Eckhart insists that we embrace the second path, the negativia, to enter it willingly and with courage, knowing that it is not the last step. Pain is not the end of our journey. This valley of sorts is the difference between the amazement and imagination of a child and the gracious awe and enlightenment of an adult, though age is not a prerequisite. The negativia has many gifts to impart: detachment, acceptance, the ability to let go and let God, as the old saying once goes. But letting go and letting be is the hardest part of the spiritual journey. And even more so now that we have a world of resources at our fingertips to guide our every moment and dull or dodge the pain. But without allowing ourselves to get lost, to wander, our travels and our ability to lose ourselves are aborted, and we get trapped in this apathetic land of the negativia. But if we can walk through the valley without losing our spirit, the way of via creativia, or creativity, the third stage, awaits us. Once we have emptied ourselves to the negative, we are ready to be filled and express ourselves outwardly. The creativia is the result. By pulling purpose and passion from the pain, we allow this negative space to fuel our creative expression. Think of a photo negative in a dark room. As we give form to our past experience, our experience is transformed. In the act of creativity, the divine speaks with our mouth. Maybe it draws with our pen. Maybe it sings with our voice. The wonder and the pain of all creation pours out through us as the Spirit in us gives its utterance. Art, music, poetry, dance, cooking, woodworking, even sermon writing are ways in which we make sense of those first two paths. The via creativia, the proclamation in art, both of our joy and sorrow, cannot help but have an effect on us and others as well. You know, one of my favorite things to do in the evening is to walk on Westcliff Road and not look at the sunset, that's impressive, but to actually look at the artists looking at the sunset. To see that awe in them kind of lights me up. It is in this sharing or expressing an opening that starts us on the final path, via transformativia. I'm probably butchering all these, but if I say it with confidence, you guys will think that I know what I'm talking about. The way of transformation and reformation. In this path, we are moved by our creativity towards action. We're inspired. We want to make the world better. We want to alleviate suffering. We want to encourage the downtrodden. We want to feed the hungry and visit the sick, to challenge the powerful on behalf of the weak. The transformativia is what the Jews call tikkun, the remaking of the world, in which God is just as dependent on us as we are upon God. These then are the four paths of spiritual growth: the positive, the negative, the creative, and the transformative. Wonder ushers us into sorrow. Wonder and sorrow together move us to express our inmost being. And this expression moves us and others towards social justice and communal transformation. But in all, what sets Eckhart and us apart from the larger existentialist community is the belief that one not need to strive to achieve this union with God. It's kind of like Andy said in the beginning, one not need to map out how to wonder, where to wander. There is no inducing this union through ritual, earning it through sacrifice, or plotting course for it on a GPS. One has only to enjoy it, to wander, and to waltz on occasion, and to take courage and embrace the strength that you have within it to make it through all of those paths.